Y'all know the routine. We are glad to be back in the building. We're allowed to see another week, so we're grateful. Man. We're grateful. So tonight I am honored. I am honored by my special guests by having them. Um, this is a subject that some of the time y'all know how I do. Some of the times when I go on, um, talking about this, that, and the other, and I may go to the barber shop. I may be at the stores, or I get an inbox and somebody may say, "Hey, this is a good topic," and this is something that was brought to me by someone, um, a good friend of mine, and he was basically just saying, "Hey, Clint, I think this would be a good topic. That would." And when he said it, I thought about this one person, and I said, "Man, this person got a story." Um, I can't wait to hear it. I've heard most of it. I don't think I've heard all of it, but what I heard, I'm just going to say it gripped me. I'm just going to say that. And we've got Chanel Hayes. We've got the coach out here. Hey, Chanel, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
We're great. We're great. So, listen, if you're viewing, I need you to let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, if you can see us. Um, Let me know if you can hear us and see us. Chanel and her. We're just going to call her for tonight. We're just going to call her for tonight. We're keeping everything anonymous. I want y'all to let me know if you can see and hear me, if you don't mind. I'm sorry, this is my cell phone. So listen, Chanel and her, if you see me looking down, I'm just basically checking the chats. I want to make sure that I get the comments. Cherie, how you doing? Let me know if you can see and hear me, Cherie. And we're gonna get started. We're gonna get started in just a moment. I have two people viewing, so I need to see. Ray, how you doing? If one of y'all can let me know if you can see and hear me, let me know how the video quality is and everything real quick, so that we can. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Cherie. Thank you. All right, so listen, we're not gonna waste time. We're gonna go ahead and hey, JK. We're gonna let these ladies do their thing, but let me introduce as far as I can go into detail with her and Chanel. Um, First off, her has a story. Chanel has a story. Um, when I spoke with her about her story, this was some years back, and I remember at the time the thing was. She said she's froze, but she's going to come back on. But at the time, she was saying, "I don't want anybody in my business." And I remember telling her, I said, "Well, listen," I said, you made it through that. That's not your business. That's pretty much God's business." I said, "But I'm not gonna rush you to do it." I said, "But you can help a lot of people, men and women." And she just said, "Well, let me think about it." And that was some years back. Now I checked back with her and we're just talking. And she said, "Oh, I've spoken in front of people. I've been talking about it." I'm like, "Wow. Are you ready to come on Clint Speaks?" She said she'd be honored. So, man, hey, Auntie. So Chanel, man, listen, just off the wham, I spoke with Chanel. Chanel, without changing the word, was like, "Hey, yeah, I can come on. I'm excited." Chanel, if you don't mind introducing yourself and telling us who you are, what you do.
First of all, thank you for thinking of me to even, take the time and opportunity to allow me to come on your show. But to get to the point of who I am Chanel Hayes. I'm a certified coach. I specialize in premarital coaching, marriage coaching, life coaching. I am a team mentor, and I'm also a domestic violence advocate
Okay.
and sexual abuse advocate.
Wow.
And I'm actually a jack of all trades.
Yeah, I see. So, if you don't mind me asking, while the anonymous guest is getting herself situated, how did you get into the how being an advocate? How did you get into that? What can you give us a background?
Yes. A lot of times people are that's the question that a lot of people do ask. How did you get into it? And I was her. It happened to me.
Wow.
And or sometimes you have to go through some stuff in order to grow through it. And it made me want to be able to speak up for the other ones who can't.
Yeah.
I'm their voice. So I chose to be an advocate to let men and women know that they're not alone. Don't I definitely advocate for a lot of women who go through it more than we know because they're silent, but men
Yeah.
also go through it too, especially when it comes down to dealing with mental health.
Right.
So I've been that person. I've been through, domestic violence. I've been through, sexual abuse and things like that. So in order for people to know more about it, sometimes it takes to listen and have a support system of someone who actually been through it. Because there's a
Wow.
difference between talking about it and there's a difference between experiencing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, we're waiting on her. She's getting herself situated. She said her screen was freezing. I was going to start with her, but um, Chanel, if you don't mind, are you okay with telling us what you went through?
Oh, I have no problem with it. It started as a young. I guess we're gonna talk about domestic violence.
Okay.
I was 18 when I had my first domestic violence experience. I went through domestic violence not one time but multiple times. Different relationships, honestly, to be honest. But my first one was I was 18 years old, and I can remember it like yesterday. I actually have a scar to prove it, 13 stitches, and
Wow.
I was asleep in my car and take my. I was 18 and he was 25. So I was young, fresh out of high school. Thought, okay, I'm dating an older guy. It was fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm young, so I thought it was fun. But he was drinking and he went through my phone and saw that I have actually texted the guy about doing tint on my car when he wanted to do the tint on my car. So he assumed that I was flirting with the guy because I didn't want him to do my tint. Now this all started because of tint on the car, but he was
Wow.
also drinking too. Now a little small argument like that led to him getting out the car. First, he pushed me, and then he got out the car because I was on the passenger side because he was driving my car. And then he tried to come around on the passenger side to try to pull me out. So I locked the door. I couldn't go nowhere because he snatched my keys out because he was driving. So as I'm trying to go this way, I'm trying to go to the left, to the right to block both of them because back then in the car I had, you hit a button, the little knob gonna come up, and I got to keep pushing down so he couldn't
Yeah.
get in it. That didn't work because when I looked up, I saw his foot coming towards the driver's side window, and he kicked it out. And when he kicked it out, I don't remember too much from that because I guess I blacked out because I lost a lot of blood. But I end up at the hospital, and they said that the glass missed my main artery from about an inch. The glass from the window cut my arm. It showed and it cut my arm. So I had a big piece of glass stuck in my arm, and
Wow.
they had to pull it out. And so I ended up getting 13 stitches. And of course, a situation like that, the sheriff department came and they pressed charges and things like that. And I didn't. I actually still love them.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And honestly,
Did,
I
I,
still communicated with him after that
did you?
for
Did
a
he
while.
show any signs before then?
No, and that's the thing. He didn't. And I guess if I would have knew the signs then that I know now, I would have ran. I'm gonna be honest, I would have ran. Would have never been there. I mean, he had he had kids and things like that, but it was just that he didn't show those signs. And how can you know an abuser if they don't show signs of abuse?
Right. Right.
So that's
Right.
the question you have to ask. How do you know if a person is a narcissist, or how do you know will they sexually abuse you? How you know are they an actual physical abuser or emotional abuser if they do not show those red flags?
Right. Right.
I did not see no red flags. Honestly, back then at 18, I didn't know anything about red flags.
R- Yeah.
So I'm gonna be honest. So if he probably showed me anything, honestly, I probably thought that it was just puppy love. Again,
Right.
I'm dating an older man, so I probably just thought, okay, he got feelings for me, or yeah, I got a jealous man, or some things like that. But now it's a whole different story. It's not,
Wow.
it's
So
not.
Chanel, that was the first incident to where he basically snapped because of a text message.
A
Was
tick.
that the first incident, or was that the last with him?
That, oh no, it wasn't the last. That was the
Wow.
first. The last where we worked together. So how can you really get rid of a situation if you still communicating with them? And
Yeah.
honestly, I guess I was more scared. So now a lot of people look at, oh, you was crazy and this and that, but I knew I'm crazy. I was crazy, but I didn't know I was crazy to stay. And I think I was more scared to leave than of staying. So I chose to stay because even though I didn't stay with him and we didn't stay in the house or anything like that, we still worked together. So I still had to see him.
Wow.
And so after that situation, I was like, okay, you know what? A month later, I end up meeting somebody and I started actually dating them. But the crazy part about it, I still had stitches in my arm from the incident. And so after that, the guy came up there and brought me flowers to the
Mm.
job. And he was there. He threatened to kill me and everything. He
Wow.
came around that corner. I was all kind of B's and H's and everything else, and told me he was gonna kill me and everything. So at that point, I called the police. I finally, because when the person say you kill you, they gonna kill you. Sometimes you got to take it kind of serious. And I already still had stitches in my arm, and I was like, I didn't know what was gonna happen next. I was at that time I was actually really scared. So
Mhm.
I called the police, and the police came up there and they talked to him, and then the manager came around the corner and asked what was going on. And I explained to them about the whole situation, told them about my arm, who did it, what happened, how, and all that, and they fired him right on the spot.
Wow.
About 10 minutes later, he called a work phone, threatened me over the work phone. So
Huh?
yeah, and then I didn't know nothing about a restraining order then.
Wow. Wow. But
But
you said you also went through sexual abuse?
yeah, yeah, that was actually younger. That was before this happened. So that was at a younger age, during my teen years.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was definitely during my teen years, and I was like, when I say you have to go through some stuff in order to grow through it, you really have to. I would say being sexually abused taught me a lot about things now. Um, I learned to forgive my abuser on both ends, but it hurt because things that I thought that I would be able to experience as my first didn't go right as my first. Like it didn't. So now I still have triggers. Even though I went through counseling, I still have some triggers. Like you can say you heal, but sometimes I think you just won't heal 100% because I think small things can trigger you.
Yeah. Wow.
And I was abused for years. It went on and on. But the thing is, if you don't really have a support system like that, who can you tell?
Right.
Like we didn't really have mentors. Like what were the mentors? Who was gonna be our mentors? Like if I'm not close to certain people, how I'm gonna actually talk to them. So
Wow.
that's why I made the decision to be an advocate. I made the decision to be a mentor because now I can be that mentor to somebody else. I can be an advocate for somebody else. I didn't have that support. And I don't care what nobody say. Anybody can tell me I was there for you. Mentally, nobody knows what you're going through unless they are in your shoes. There's
Mm.
a lot of people tell you why you didn't leave. You don't know my situation or why I even stayed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people can't leave.
Mm. Wow. And that's the reason why I wanted to bring you both of you on, because I know we all know there's plenty of cases that have never been filed, never been brought up, There are people that's still going through it right now. They don't know what to do. And you all are going to continue to help people, not just because you're on Clint Speaks, but you've been helping, she's been helping. So I thank you all. And I'm going to come back to you, Chanel. I want you to come back. Um, we're going to speak with her. Now, stick with us, Chanel. Um, we're just going to call her her. First off, her, how are you doing tonight? Can you hear me? I don't know if she can hear me. Can you hear me? Y'all stick with me. Can you hear me? Okay. I don't know if she could, what's going on with her system, but either way, either way. Chanel, you left off by saying that you went through the other type of abuse for years. When did that start? Like, when did this start?
when I was 12.
Wow. Wow. Was that if you don't mind me asking, was that a family member? Was that a close friend or
To be honest, the honest answer that I can give you, it always starts with a family member.
yeah.
It always starts with a family member or a church member or a babysitter
Mm,
or someone that's a family friend. It
yeah.
always starts close at home. Anytime someone come to you and tell you that they've been sexually abused as a child, it starts somewhere close.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay. Someone put in the Chiquita put in the message: living in fear, walking on eggshells. You're so brave for speaking out. Um, so yeah, I agree. Chanel and her, they because a lot of people don't, and I'm not here to judge that. I just know that's not easy for anybody. Her, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing tonight?
I am wonderful.
Awesome, awesome. So listen, I've been speaking with Chanel, and Chanel is a coach, an advocate, just like you are. You're an advocate. Um, just giving us some backdrops of what she went through. Um, I heard your story some years back. I don't know if I heard all of it, but if you don't mind, you were in a relationship with someone, and it didn't start out like that. But how did that relationship start out?
No, it didn't start out like that. It started out okay. There were some red flags that I know what the red flags are now, but I didn't know what the red flags were then. And it started out where we were dating, and an ex came to his house, and he jumped on her. Now I'm thinking he's upset with her because she popped up over his house. But that's I know now different. That was the red flag that I noticed, that I take heed to now. But it wasn't like that at first at all.
Mm, okay. So take us through that. You're in a relationship with them. Everything is okay. You noticed that first incident. So how was it after that?
Well, first it started off, it wasn't physical at first. It started off as, I guess you'll say, mental. Um, I was, you would look good in that if you had a bigger butt, or you look good in, why you putting that color on? You don't look that good in that color. You need to put on black or whatever color it was. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And it started from that, and then it went from that to the physical part.
Okay. So that first incident that you had that was physical, take us through that. What happened that day or that night?
Well, that day, if it started out, it really was it well, it started out with the pushing. I never was I never was choked, but I was pushed, I was hit on, but I never was choked. But they I was always hit where no one else could see the marks.
Mm.
So it was he knew to hit me where no one else could see it.
What was he upset about?
Um One time it was because of I said something to someone about their shoe size. That was one incident.
Mhm.
Um I was at the mall one time and I saw some people that I went to school with and I spoke to them. And it was it used to be that must be one of your boyfriends that you screwing where he ain't said screw
Yeah.
or whatever. But and it wasn't. I was just speaking to class members and he had a problem with that. So that happened. Um there was one incident that happened when I decided it was time to go. I really honestly, because it was so bad, I honestly don't remember what transpired. I think it was someone wanted to take me to go see one of my. I think it was that's what it was. Someone wanted to go take me to see one of my exes, and when I found out where I was going, I told her to take me back because I had no idea where she was taking me,
Hmm.
and I can't even remember how he found out or whatever. So that was the worst.
Wow. When you say that was the worst, what do you mean?
Um, I was hit with I was hit in my arms where I couldn't even raise my arms up. Like I said, I never was hit in the face.
Okay.
It was always on my legs, my arms. But you just imagine I don't know if you've ever got to fighting before,
Hmm.
but they hit me like they were hitting a dude.
Wow.
It was in my chest, things like that.
Your chest.
My chest, my arms, my legs was never in my face. I was never choked so you could see marks around my neck, any of that.
Mm. Okay. Did you did you ever report it?
Never.
Okay. If somebody were to ask you why did you never report it, what would be your answer?
Honestly, I didn't want to get him in trouble. I didn't tell anybody because I knew how my family was.
Hmm.
And I honestly, and I'm trying not to get emotional, and
Right.
I honestly didn't want him hurt. Even though he was hurting me, I didn't want him hurt. I
Gotcha.
didn't want him to go to jail because I loved him.
Mm.
And I always thought about the way it used to be. And I felt like I just wanted that person back.
Yeah.
It
Got
wasn't always like that.
okay. Now, and that's something that you say that because while you were getting your screen together, Chanel mentioned something similar. The love was there. She loved him. And I think that you
And
know,
what
I
and also what people fail to realize is embarrassing.
got
It's embarrassing.
you. Yeah.
You don't want anybody to know that you're being abused.
Mm.
You don't want nobody to know that because
Wow.
that's the first thing they're gonna say is what you doing there. Why you still there? Why you ain't, and People just you don't understand unless you've been there.
Yeah. Yeah. There was she said the same thing. And this is when I say this is awesome, I'm not speaking of the incidents. I'm saying that you all literally never met and you're saying the same thing. Because people ask, like you said, why were you still there? Why didn't you just leave? And people think that in situations like that, you can just walk out and it's over with and you will never see them again. And I don't know why people think that, but it's not as easy as people think it is from what I understand. Um,
No, it's not. I could have left at any time that I wanted to. Um, because I could have I didn't have to be there.
yeah.
Some people are staying in relationships like that for financial reasons,
Mm,
but not me. I could have left. I just didn't.
okay.
And to the last time, and I prayed to God. I will tell you this, that the times that it did happen to me, um, it hurt very
Mm,
bad.
mhm.
But the last time, I prayed to God and I kept saying out loud, Lord, if you allow me, because I thought he was going to kill me that day. But I kept saying, Lord, if you allow me to get out of this, I promise I'm leaving. And that particular day, I felt no pain,
Mm.
nothing hurt. I could see him hitting me, but I couldn't feel it.
Wow.
I couldn't feel it. And so that day was the day that I decided um, that it was time to go.
Time. Wow. Let me say this to you and Chanel real quickly, I got to ask you one more question. I really appreciate you all. Is to be honest with you, whether people believe it or not, tonight is not about Clint Speaks. I really want people to be helped, but your bravery, both of you all, for coming on and saying something and telling your story. This is one of the reasons why Clint Speaks was birthed because I want people to be helped. I'm not ashamed to say if I don't know something, I don't know. I've never been through this. So I'm learning from you all. And I know people are being helped. Before I go any further, again, we're going to call you her for tonight. You made mention to me one incident. I don't know if you were over this certain person's house, but they invited somebody to you, like to come and do some things to you.
Yes, they did.
Tell us about that one.
Um, it was it was his brother, and I must say that I thank him today that he didn't, because he could have. But yes, he tried to get his brother to have sex with me.
Wow.
And he kept saying, she ain't gonna do nothing, she'll do it, you know. And he just refused to do it. But I could have been raped that day.
So, for those who may not understand what was just said, you were in a relationship with this guy. He turns abusive and so abusive to the point to whereas one particular day he tells his brother to go in the room and have sex with you. She'll let you do it.
That's correct.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Listen, y'all. Oh wow. Chanel, I just want to give her a break for a second. Chanel, what you think about that?
It's a lot. I understand her. I definitely do. Like I said, in order to understand a person from, I would say, I'm not going to even say a person, let me rephrase it. I would say a survivor
Yeah.
of abuse, because you have all different types of abuse. I would say again, you have to go through it before you can add any advice or tell somebody about the situation. We have to understand, if you have not been through any type of form of abuse, try not to speak on it to that person, because mentally, we do not know where their head is at. They already probably can't leave, want to leave, don't know how, have no family, have no place to go, have, no shelter or anything. And we're telling them, oh, you should just leave. Why are you staying for? Oh, if it was me, I'd be gone. Well, it's not you. You're not in them shoes. So how do you know? And now the person that we're telling that they should have leave, they should have done this, they shoulda, is the same person that we forced to jump off a bridge, forced to kill themselves. Because
Mm.
mentally they was already messed up. So we constantly add these other statements. We're peer pressuring them into telling them what they should have done, but we never took the time to ask them, hey, are you okay? What do you need from me? Now, it's a lot of safe haven places. There's a lot of shelters for domestic abuse survivors. And when she brought up mental abuse, there is a such thing as mental abuse. You have physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, financial abuse, sexual abuse. It's so
Mm.
many different type of abuse. And people, when they say domestic violence, they automatically think of it being physical, when it's not just physical. It's more to it.
So, with that being said, I was going to ask you this question. Like I said, I'm just giving her a break for right now. And I see you. I see your comment, JK. Chanel, this may come off not to you, but to others like Clint. Why would you ask that stupid question? But it's really not stupid. For somebody that's going through verbal abuse, it's just, hey, be whatever. Should women be worried about that? I mean, you're not getting hit on, Chanel. So should that be a concern? Because it's just verbal.
Of course, it should be a concern. It starts off small before it get big. That's a sign. If it starts
Mm.
verbal, and if you allow that person, whether it's a man or woman, because think about it, you have women as dating women now. So you have to think about it. If it's a woman situation, or if it's a man and a woman, man, however the case may be, abuse is abuse, no matter the gender, role, or whatever, who it comes from. You can be purple, yellow, it don't matter. A person is a person. Abuse is abuse, regardless of how you say it. You call me fat, that's verbal. I don't
Mm.
care if I am fat. In my eyes, that's still verbal,
Yeah.
because you just insulted me. You just name called me. So if I allow you to keep on calling me fat, what else would you do? But,
Right.
but then again, that's me for not setting my boundaries and putting a stop to it when you first called me fat. But then if I don't set my boundaries, because back then I ain't know nothing about boundaries. Now I set boundaries. But again, if I didn't communicate and tell you how I feel, I'm gonna continue to go through this verbal abuse. And then mentally it's gonna mess me up. Cause in my head, I'm gonna keep thinking like, if my significant other is calling me fat, am I fat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it's gonna make me want to go do this, go do that, to try to accommodate him.
Mm.
And that's why I try to tell a lot of survivors or people who actually going through it but don't want to talk about it. You don't have to talk about it to no one if you choose not to. But listen, hear me out. Create a safety plan. We didn't know nothing about safety plans properly. It might exist back then. I didn't know nothing about it, but I
Yeah.
know now. Work on
Wow.
you a safety plan. You might can't escape today, but you can probably escape tomorrow or a month from now with a safety plan.
Wow. Um, JK said, now either one of y'all can answer this. She said, for me, I didn't have anywhere to go. And due to low self esteem, believing nobody would want me, she said, I commend y'all strength.
I
Wow.
mean, I understand on the low self esteem. I had low self esteem at one point. Now you can't tell me nothing. I snap my fingers and talk back and everything. But that's just figure of speech. But
Yeah.
honestly, to be honest, low self esteem, uh that's hard to come back from. It really is, because you can't just go to sleep and wake up thinking that your self-esteem is going to be back high. You have to put in work to become a better version of you, because my low self-esteem, it led to drug abuse and alcohol abuse for me. I
Hmm.
mean, I even went to jail. I'm gonna be honest, I went to jail and I had to do 8 weeks of anger management. I thought that nobody would ever want me. I mean, even the guy told me at one point, this is a whole different relationship. Don't nobody want you. You old, you cripple. I mean, I had, slipped and fell at work and had to have surgery. So I was on crutches,
Yeah.
so I was talked about. I mean, I was told so many negative things that mentally it did mess me up to where my self esteem was low. So, in order to fix that problem, you have to heal yourself. You have to make yourself a priority first. You got to put yourself first. You got to work on healing. Take time for you, because if you don't put yourself first, nobody else will ever. You look in that mirror, you tell yourself, I am beautiful, I am this, I am this. You use some affirmation, whatever you got to do to build your self esteem up, you do it. Because I'm telling you, that person that brought it down would take your energy away from you.
Wow. Wow. I love how y'all. I mean, just y'all's courage. I just love it. So getting back to her.
Well,
Um.
I'm gonna say this on the low self esteem. As
Mhm.
for me, everybody's different. But as for me, when I got in that relationship, my self esteem was already low.
Wow.
So I already felt a certain kind of way about me. So with him saying those things to me, it just made me believe what I already believed about myself anyway.
Mm.
So, and it came from me personally. It came from, how they say people have mama and daddy issues.
Yeah.
Well, I had daddy issues. And the reason why I had daddy issues was because my daddy wasn't there like I felt like he should be. So I was always looking for love in all the wrong places anyway.
Mm.
So
Okay.
that was my issue. So it didn't stream from him actually being verbally and mentally abusive to me. I was already thinking what he was talking about anyway. It just made me, at one time I was like, well, maybe I am all right, or, maybe I ain't too skinny or whatever. But when he started saying it, it just made it even worse. And as far as leaving, and like I said, I could have left. I chose not to because I was in love with him. So everybody's situation is different. But like um she was saying, you do have to make an escape plan. Mine was not, I just chose that day. I knew he was going to work. I was supposed to be going I was supposed to be going to school. And I decided the night before, I ain't going to school. I'm gonna act like I'm going to school, and I'm leaving soon as he leave. But I didn't talk. Like I said, I didn't say anything. And speaking on people saying, well, if I was you and this, that, and other, which is the reason why a lot of people shut down and don't say anything. That's the main reason why people don't tell anybody anything. We already feel bad because we're in this situation.
Mm. Wow. Um. Question for you. You have a son. Did that ever happen in front of him?
Um, yes, but he was very, 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 very young. So he does well, I'm not gonna say he didn't know, because they said babies know,
Hmm.
which is one of the main reasons why it was time to go. I did
Wait.
not
You said
want to,
baby.
huh?
You said baby.
Yeah, baby. So I didn't want to. Even though my mom wasn't in an abusive relationship, so I didn't see any of that going on. But I knew what I didn't want for my child.
Mm, mm. So the abuse happened in front of your son while he was a baby. Like, wow.
One time, that was the time I left.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
And see, a lot of it, when you deal with trauma,
Hmm.
um, things kind of clash together. So it may have been this other time, but it was really you know, when you deal with trauma, it's like bits and pieces. People with trauma only a person that's dealt with trauma understand what I'm saying. It's like, no, no, there wasn't a time. It was the time when this, that, and the fourth. So it's kind of like broken. Your mind is kind of broken up when you get to talking about this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Um, so her, Chanel, either one, both of you, for those that may be going through it right now and feel like there is no way of escape, what would you tell that person?
I would say, as far as I don't want them to ever think that they can't escape. They may just be scared. I'm not gonna tell you to leave now, because I know that it's not easy to just leave. Like Herb was saying, if you in love, you in love, no matter what that person do to you.
Yeah.
You can't help it. I mean, you can't just honestly go to sleep and just wake up. Oh, I don't love that person no more.
Yeah.
There's no way this, gonna happen. That's why you have to start off small. Everybody may not have a safety plan. They may not even know what a safety plan is. I didn't know what a safety plan was, so I became an advocate and started doing a lot of research to go along with my experiences and everything else. So, I would say, if you're going through it and if you're on this live, then I have resources that can put you in a shelter if need be. But the choice have to be there. It have to be their choice.
Mhm.
It has to be something that they choose to do. Because you have a lot of people that will leave tomorrow and be back the day after.
Wow.
So it really, really depends on the person. Only advice I can say is find you a good support person that you can talk to, and don't let it be family. Don't. Because to be honest, sometimes family be the worst ones.
Mm.
And I hate to say it that way, but sometimes they be the worst ones that you could talk to in situations like that, especially if we leave and go back, because it's gonna make that whole situation worse. So we was
Yeah.
to call them, hey, can you come pick me up? He hit me again. I might get that click, and then I'm stuck because I kept going back and forth, and I put my family in the middle. Now they don't want to put their self in the middle or jeopardize them or their family, because I keep going back. So I don't want to be the little boy that cried wolf.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Well, my suggestion is, if there is a lot of research and you can research a lot, but my suggestion is, this day and time, we have cell phones. If it can be someone at your job, don't use your cell phone. I'm going to say that. Do not use your cell phone to research anything. If you got a friend of yours at one of your job, at your job that you trust, use their phone.
Mm.
And I'm with her on about not getting your family involved, because your family love you and they don't want anything to happen to you. So they're not going to understand. And I'm going to say this about leaving, just like with me. When you get ready to leave, you will do what you have to do. But it's not until you Because I went back and forth, but nobody knew what I was going through. And what I mean by back and forth, um, I might have went and stayed over my sister house or something like that, but I was right back.
Gotcha.
But again, do not use your cell phone, please.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Um, Chanel, you have a support group. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, my support group is online. Like I would do in person too, but a lot of women can't really make in person because of their work schedule, and sometimes they like to be anonymous. So I can do Zoom or via Facebook, and it is a support group for women that's looking for support for any type of abuse, not just physical, but any type of form of abuse. Because if I say domestic violence, they automatically for some reason think of physical, and I have to say forms of abuse so they will know that, hey, if you haven't been hit, you still got mental abuse, you still got verbal, you still got sexual abuse. So it is a support group for women who need support, who needs help, resources, or just want to vent or just need a listening ear, just to know that they're not alone. I mean, that's why we talk about it, just that. I mean, it's more like a virtual shoulder to lean on.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Um, I know I'm asking this. I'm not going to say it out of place. I have to ask both of you all this. Um, was there ever a time, because I'm noticing while I'm listening to you all talk, and I will admit again, I've never been through it like this. Was there ever a time to whereas you blame yourself, or you feel like I'm making him mad? It's my fault. Did you ever have a moment? Either one of you have a moment like that?
I blame myself multiple times. Thought I'd never get it right until I realized it wasn't me that was the problem. I mean, I feel like if a person is, well, you know what, I was a problem at one point because I became aggressive, and I think it was because of what I learned from being abused. I at one point did become an abuser, but I was more verbal.
Yeah.
But at one point I did think like, why me? Is it my fault? Like I had to do something because ain't no way a man gonna do this to me
Mm,
because what I do, So yeah, I blame myself multiple times.
yeah. Yeah. Because I really feel that some may do that. Like, because you see it in the movies, and I tell people, Chanel and her, I always say this. I learned this about 10 years ago. Movies can minister to you. They literally tell you either what's going on or what's about to happen or what has happened, and you hear even what's love got to do with it. You're like, that's okay. He's just upset. I know how to fix it. And they start blaming themselves for that. And it's like, wow, from the outside looking in, it's like, oh my God. But again, I've never been through it, so I can't tell nobody, listen, don't do yourself like that. But that's easy to say from the outside. But I was just wondering. I just wondering because there may be somebody that's looking or gonna look on this and they may feel it's my fault. But I believe Chanel and her, I believe y'all would tell anybody, don't fall for that.
No, don't. They shouldn't. And also just like her was saying, as far as using somebody else's phone, I do agree with that. But if they can't use anybody else's phone, because sometimes they might not want them in their business, they do have a website, the hotline.org. It is the National Domestic Violence website, and they have a safety exit on there. Even though if you use your actual phone and you go on there, it's going to automatically give that security alert. And once you get through looking up your resource or whatever you got to do with that website, it gives you that option right there to safe exit out. And they will never know you even been on their website.
Wow.
Now that I didn't know. That's
Wow.
good to know.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, Chanel, put your information in there, your support group, wherever they can find you, or whatever website, her, whatever information y'all got. If you have anything, put it in there. Put it in the comment section so people can see it. Um, I just appreciate y'all for for doing this, because this is a type of awareness that was brought to my attention, and somebody told me, "Hey man, listen, you have some nice topics, but this is much needed." And again, I thought about her, and when I saw Chanel, I was like, "Wait a minute!" I started looking at her profile, and I'm like, "Hey, I remember seeing this," and that's what was familiar to me. Like, okay, this is a coach; she's an advocate. I appreciate y'all, because that's not easy. I actually spoke with somebody that was, I know this, I hope this is not getting off the subject, but she was sexually abused. Right. And, that's one of the first questions. Did you say anything? Did you? And I think that's the first question Chanel and heard everybody ask, like, did you say anything? Did you tell anybody? And she was like, no, because I didn't want him, he was at a high position in this particular department, and I didn't want to bring nothing on him. Like, I just didn't want that problem. I'm like, okay. I left it alone. And I'm glad you said what you said, Chanel. If you haven't been through it, sometimes I believe it's just good for you just to listen and, just take it from there. But just trying to give advice and questioning the question, I think sometimes that's not good. And I'm glad you all said that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna speak on blaming myself. I
Hmm.
blame myself the whole time. There was never a time, honestly, that I felt as though it was all his fault. And I'm just being honest.
Hmm.
Um, I I walked around on pins and needles, and actually, to be honest with you, it was years after that it happened to me. It was my 40th birthday, and I never forget it. That was the day that I actually realized that it wasn't my fault.
Wow.
So you talking about 20 years later, you
Wow.
know, and I was out eating with some close friends of mine, and I just broke down. We were just talking about, I don't even know what we was talking about. And they was like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?"
Yeah.
And that's when I actually realized that it wasn't my fault. And I actually realized, but it took me 20 years, took me a long time.
Mm.
But yes, I blame myself the whole time. It was always something that I could have done, or something I didn't do, or something that I should have done, and it wouldn't have happened.
Wow. Do you Are you over it now? Is there any such thing as getting over it? Do you carry
No,
that
I'm
into?
not. No, I'm not over it.
Okay.
I don't. I still think about it. It still crosses my mind. I still have some issues that I deal with because of that, and some of my childhood traumas as well. But no, I'm not over it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Because Chanel, I remember she said earlier she has triggers. She still has triggers now. Um, sounds like you all, Chanel and her. Sounds like that's pretty normal. To have triggers and to not be over it years later.
Yeah. I don't. No matter how much help you get, you're never going to be able to forget it. Like I have forgave those who have hurt me in order for me to be able to move forward with my life.
Hmm.
But believe me, I had to go through those trials and tribulations to get to that point to be able to forgive. And it took a lot to forgive. I was angry with everybody. And take in mind, anger is a emotion. But up under that anger iceberg that I had, depression,
Wow.
sadness, loneliness. So I was just a walking ball of fire because I was angry.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I'm not. I still have triggers, and I'm still a work in progress. But and at one point, it even caused me to stop believing in God.
Yeah.
But I got my faith back. I started, working on me, and I started healing. And now, since I have fixed me, I'm here to support the next one because I feel like I was so damaged that I can't really help someone if I'm still damaged myself. And don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, I I'm healed, but I got triggers.
Yeah.
So I can't say that I can help heal the next person, but I can hold a hand.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Oh man.
And when you go through things like that, it's just like the same thing as when people have alcohol addiction or drug addiction, sex addiction, or whatever, and they tell people that you still need to go to your classes, even though you know, you've been clean for 15 years. People still need to go to to their counseling and to the meetings that they have to keep you on the right track.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
that's why I chose to do that support group. Like a lot, it's so many. The domestic abuse and any forms of the abuse is not talked about enough like it should be. It should be talked about way more than it should, whether or not it's virtual, whether or not it's in person, anything. That's why I made the decision to just have a free support group online because hey, I don't care if it's two people, if it's just me, I'm there. So if somebody needs to get online and just hear or talk, I'm here for them.
Awesome.
And also, um, with me going through what I went through, it still causes issues in relationships that I have now because I hold a lot of stuff in.
Mm.
I don't, right to this day, I don't say everything that's on my mind because I don't want to make that person mad, even though that person probably never put their hands on me. But that's the thing that, when you go through abuse, and men go through abuse too now. I had a friend of mine that did. So used to like have to lock himself in the bedroom, that kind of stuff. So men go through divorce. Men go through abuse as well. But yes, right to this day, I'm still healing. I don't think it's I know it's something that I don't want to forget it because that that's what has made me who I am now. And just like I never was angry about it. I was always hurt by it. I never got angry. I was always hurt. My feelings were always hurt. I was always sad because of it. So I never got to the point where I had an anger issue.
Yeah. So I gotta ask you this before we go. There was a time back in the day when I was asking you, I asked you one time about speaking on it. And this was years ago. This is way before Clint Speaks. And I remember you saying, I don't want everybody in my business. And I remember telling you, I was like, you've been delivered from that. That's God's business. But it hit me at that time. I'm like, back off, leave it alone. And I'm glad I did. But I got to ask you, and I'm going to ask Chanel the same thing. What made you decide to talk?
Somebody got to
Um, it's a
decide.
part of to me, it's a part of healing this is for me. I'm not trying to be selfish, but this is for me speaking out. This is a step further for me. Um, I'm not hiding myself because I'm afraid. I'm hiding myself for respect. Me and Clint talked about this.
Mm.
So that's why I'm hiding myself. Not because I'm afraid and he's still out there and he gonna come find me. It's nothing like that, but it's out of respect. Now, this is the crazy part. After all he's done, I still am trying to save him.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by the healing part. It never goes away. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm hidden. Not because I'm scared.
Awesome. Awesome.
And what was your other question, Clint? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was asking Chanel the same thing.
Okay.
What made you want to talk about it, Chanel? Just come out and talk about
I got to be a spokesperson for the women and some of the men who choose not to. I'm speaking for those survivors who can't, for the ones who died, and for the
it. Mm,
ones who surviving.
wow, wow. You all, you both of you all have hit on key major points why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not gonna make it about me. I'm gonna say this real quick. I'm transparent when I come on here, and I remember Chanel's and I watch it. I'm transparent about things I've done. I'm transparent about not knowing. I'm transparent about the things that I've experienced. Um, Sometimes when I come on here, just like her said, it's for me. Sometimes most of the time it's to help people because just like Chanel said, and it's crazy both of y'all said that. I've said this plenty of times. I'm everybody else's mouthpiece that can't talk. So when you're going through marital issues, when you're going through relationship issues, when you're going through manhood issues and things that women have wanted to say and they speak through me, they may inbox me and say, hey, because you talk on this? Because they're not going to do it. I'm their mouthpiece. And sometimes you all don't understand the things that people think is petty, stupid, ignorant. You don't understand these people, that's why they won't talk. And I have to put on my big boy pants and say, hey, I got to help people. But sometimes I get on here and tell you about me. And I just wanted to say that I concur. I can relate to that part of it. But y'all, I appreciate y'all. Y'all just don't know. I appreciate y'all coming on tonight. This is huge. This is huge. It's like you can feel somebody being helped. I was looking at the comments earlier, and JK, I know that's not her name on here, but you know, some things I believe he was talking about the self-esteem thing. Definitely experiencing that right now was in the comments. Just y'all helping people as you speak. I appreciate y'all. I really do. I appreciate you more than you know. Chanel, if you get a chance, put anything in the comments that needs to be the where they can talk to you, your information, the support group, all of that. Her, Chanel, I appreciate you all. I'm gonna let you get back to your families and what to your night, but just know I appreciate both of you. And thank
And can I say one
you.
more
Yeah,
thing?
please,
Because
you're free
I know that I know that I said that this was for me. I'm not a selfish person.
at all,
So
at all.
if anybody needs to and are serious, I mean, I'm here to talk. Clint will give you um my information.
Yep.
So I'm not selfish, meaning, this happened to me and don't nobody understand, um and I'm not here to for anybody else because I know how it is. It's not easy. It's hard, and it's scary. It's scary for sure. But you can do it. Whoever I'm talking to, you can do it. I did it. You can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Dude, if I did it, anybody could do it. Cause woo, Lord no, I've been through. Woo.
Awesome, awesome. Hey, oh man, I listen, y'all, real quick before y'all go. Listen, I'm gonna say this. Um, and my wife knows I'm saying this in respect. I don't even have to explain that, but I was speaking with somebody through inbox. Again, everything that people want to say they can't. And I remember responding to this one lady and saying, I don't want you to think that I'm beating up on the women or speaking against women. And they immediately responded, no. The time that I've known you on Clint Speaks, we know that you really, really treasure black queens. Not saying that I'm racist or prejudiced. I'm just saying I do love to see black women when they're dancing, when they're having fun, when they're laughing at the picnics, when they're laughing, when they're sitting around with the other women and they're having a fun time. Because in the back of my mind, y'all go through stuff that people just don't understand. We're speaking on different types of abuse tonight. We didn't get on the subject, and it wasn't for us to get on the subject. Things you go through birthing children, and women have literally died from that. Some people have gone through so much abuse to whereas they have become that. Like, okay, this is no the stuff that y'all go through. I love to see y'all smile and have a good time. Um, my wife would tell you, I purposely make her laugh every day. Purposely just do something stupid, silly, because I want to see her smile. And I love to see you all do that. It does break your heart to hear y'all say things like that y'all said tonight. It's like, man, glass cutting your arm like that. And you just out trying to have a good time. You're at home and your man is telling somebody else to go in there and have sex with you. It's like the stuff that y'all go through, her knows me. Chanel, you've seen me. That's why I love to see y'all smile. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't been an angel. I'm not an abuser physically. Verbally, I've said some things to people in the past, and and that made me cringe. I just my wife would tell you now she don't go through that. I just y'all don't deserve that. I'm not saying all the women are perfect, Chanel and her. I'm not saying that, but the ones that go through stuff, it's just man, that breaks my heart. Man. Y'all don't understand how I'm glad you all came on tonight and helped the people. I appreciate y'all. You just never know what people are going through.
And,
Chanel,
and
I know her, and I didn't know her was going through it, and it was like when she was telling me the first time, I was like, I'm right there. Like I didn't know. But anyway, you were saying something.
no, I was getting ready to say it teaches you also how to hide.
Mm,
It teaches you how to hide. So I would say that if you have a friend, there are some things that you how do I want to put it? That some people that are happy all the time,
mhm.
I mean like and you can tell when if they're really close to you, you can tell when they're trying to hide something.
Wow.
They're always happy, you know, and it's just certain things that you have to if you're a true friend that you pay attention to. And I'm gonna tell you they're not gonna just come out and tell you. You may have to tell them, they may have, like she said, they may have anger issues. It's stemming from somewhere. And you just have to be that person to tell them, if you need me, I'm here. Just call me anytime, or whatever. But it's very easy for us to hide our emotions. I had to, because I felt like I couldn't show any kind of emotion. So it's very easy for me to hide my emotions.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Well, I thank y'all. I mean, even the more every time I see it, y'all. I mean, it's y'all just don't know. Um, they need to hear y'all, and I'm glad you all are bold enough to come out and let people know you're here and you survive. I just don't want to hold y'all. I mean, I'll let y'all stay on all night. I don't want y'all to think I'm rushing y'all off, but I know I don't want to hold you. If there's something else, Chanel, her, before we close out.
Um, if they can see, I would. I don't know because I got my thing blurred out, but you might can. But my scar somewhere right up in here. I don't know if they can actually see it, but it's right here
Hmm.
if they can see it.
Wow.
But I'm living proof that you can be a survivor. You just
Wow.
gotta be strong. And like I said, hers right. I mean, it takes time. It takes time to heal. Everybody heals different. For me, my way of healing before I actually got healed this way was through drugs and alcohol. And I mean, I had to go to counseling, of course. I got to the point where I tried to kill myself. So it put me in a situation to where I wanted to take my life because I couldn't handle it. So she's right. Like you can hide it so good to where your own best friend not even know what you're going through unless they really, really know you. That's why with me, I try to do a mental health check in as often as possible because nowadays you just never know what our friends are going through or our close, family members are going through.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
And all I have to say is for anybody that's going through this and you're on here, I want you to say that her loves you and you're beautiful and you deserve so much more.
Mm. Love. I love that. Wow. Wow. I appreciate y'all. Um, Thank you again. You all, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you, please don't let this be the last time because we're going to have to do this again. It may be a couple of months from now, but I want to bring you all back on. We have to do this again. Um, so if y'all don't mind, can I get y'all's word that y'all will come back,
I have no problem.
please? I appreciate it. But either way, we thank y'all again. Um, if you have any information that you want to put in, if anybody, Chanel probably put her information in there for her. I have her information. If you all just need somebody to talk to, they've already volunteered. Hey, you all can speak with them and talk with them. Um, so if anybody need hers information, let me know. Inbox me, call me, whatever. However
And,
you get in contact with.
and Clint, can you do me one big favor?
Yes,
Can you please say a small prayer for those that are going through
I
what
sure will.
we've been talking about?
I sure will. I sure will. You want me to do that now, or just give you my word? I'll do it.
Oh, do it now. Stay on
Okay,
here.
I'll
Yeah,
do
we
it
right.
now.
We here.
All right. So listen, I'm gonna go right in and do it. So Father, we as usual, as what I do, we give you honor, we give you praise because without you, none of this would be possible. Lord, we give you all the glory for those that have survived. Thanking you for them being bold enough to tell their story. We're thanking you for a new mindset in those people, but for those that are still going through, Lord, we're speaking to their minds right now. We're speaking to them and we pray strength to their mind. As her has said, you are beautiful. You deserve so much more. So I believe in faith that this prayer is going to reach the very soul, the mind, the will, and emotions of those people that are still going through, even those that have survived, not just to speak, but to really know that they are survivors and to understand that they are yours and to understand that they do deserve better. I speak for those that are going to, I hate to say going through, they're going to go through, but even in that, Lord, that are watching this, that they realize in the beginning the red flags. Let them see it, Father. Let them see it and let them recognize it and let them be bold enough. I speak boldness to go and get help and to exit that as soon as they're able to. I speak this. I speak this in faith in your darling son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Y'all, I thank y'all again. So listen, again, we're gonna come back in a couple of months or a few months from now. I'll just know that I'm gonna be calling on you all. So if y'all don't mind, I pray a special blessing for y'all too. I don't know whatever it is y'all got up before God. I do pray her, Chanel, seriously, whatever it is, whether that's your business. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it selfish. I speak strictly for y'all, whatever your heart desire, that God gives it to you because of your obedience and you volunteering your time on tonight, Chanel and her. Whatever it may be, I just want to see it granted. And that I pray in Jesus' name. Amen again. Amen
Amen.
again. So listen, y'all, you all have a great night. Love you too. And thank you again. You all have a great blessed night.